Well, joining me now is Sayyid Mostafa Khoshcheshm. He's a media professor at the University of Tehran. And in the studio with me is journalist Borzou Daragahi. Good to have you back on the show, Borzou, and welcome to the show, Mostafa Khoshcheshm. Let me begin with you. Aladdin Barujerdi, the chairman of the National Security Commission, said that Telegram is a threat to national security. Isn't he overreacting a little bit?
Hello, and thanks for having me on the show. Well, no, of course not. You know, Iran has been under the constant threat of regime change plans all throughout the last 4 decades. It has come under attack. It has come, under various plots, regime change plots, like sanctions, velvet revolutions, coup d'etats, and so on and so forth. And Iran's enemies, the United States and Israel, have admittedly been using the cyberspace to hit Iran. The world was in an environment of cybersecurity before 2007, but it experienced a transition to a cyber war environment because of attacks on Iran by malwares such as Stuxnet, Doko, Son of Doko, and others. So when you can see that cyberspace is used by Iran's enemies to enforce regime change, there is no reason to believe that they have stopped doing so, and they have admitted that they've stated repeatedly that they are using the cyberspace and messaging applications, including Telegram, whose servers are outside Iran, in order to provoke the Iranian public, and they did that a few months ago.
Okay, so let me ask Borzou then.
The big data transition that's not now under Iran's control.
Fair enough. So Borzou. So we have Mostafa Khoshcheshm making the argument that outside forces are using the app to instigate the society, ignite the society against the government. Is any of that plausible?
I mean, I think that underestimates the intelligence and subjectivity of the Iranian people, who make their own decisions about what to get upset about and what to be angry about. These messaging apps are tools. Not only are they tools, they're tools that are used by the Supreme Leader, for example, has his own Telegram channel. The Revolutionary Guards have a Telegram channel. The Revolutionary Guards Quds Force, which is the sort of secretive operations abroad, have a Telegram channel. They're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, yet these tools are denied ordinary Iranian people. And now they're talking about shutting down Telegram, which is used by 50 million Iranian people to communicate.
Right. So let me then ask you, are they trying to shut it down because they fear outside forces, or rather are they trying to shut it down because they don't want internal dissent?
I think that there is a debate within the regime. It's not just black and white. For example, the president that was elected twice by a majority of the Iranian people has said that he doesn't want to shut down Telegram. But there are dark and more sinister and more totalitarian elements within the elite of the regime who want to shut Iran off from the rest of the world, who want to be able to control and monitor Iranians' every activities, including what they say and do online. And it's for that reason that certain elements in the regime, not all of them, just a very small, cliquish, cultish elite, have this illusion that they can control all the people.
Mostafa Khoshcheshm, by supporting the blocking of Telegram, you're supporting totalitarianism.
No, first of all the channels that my colleague stated at the studio, they have all been shut down voluntarily by the leader, by the IRGC and others. You know that the same Telegram messaging application, Iranians have been talking to its owner, Pavel Durov, in order to have some kind of cooperation after the Telegram application was used from abroad by various channels, including Ahmad News, who were teaching people how to make Molotov cocktails. That's a bomb. That's considered terrorism by any standard. And they taught people how to do that during the recent unrest. So who is going to answer for that?
Again,
and Paul Durov
there's an underestimation of the Iranian people,
despite the fact that all the world countries.
I'm a kid who grew up in the U.S. I knew how to make a Molotov cocktail when I was 9 years old. It's not a very complicated thing. To say that Iranians need a telegram to learn how to use how to make and use a Molotov cocktail that any person in the world anywhere can make with any household goods is just absurd, and it underestimates, it infantilizes the Iranian people.
Okay, Mostafa Khoshcheshm.
I was talking. I was not the. I was about to explain that this is happening everywhere. India shut down WhatsApp. France has very recently warned to ban both Telegram
this is the thing. If
and
other
WhatsApp.
people do it, does that make it right?
Russia has shut down.
Certainly, we debate that. The FSB tried to hack into Telegram.
Let me explain.
So
let me explain.
My point to you is that,
explain.
Does it make it
Would you
right,
please let me explain about that. This is not something unique to Iran. When it comes to Iran, there are so many hues and cries. Iran has not banned Instagram. It has not warned to close down WhatsApp. They are both working in Iran, but the same concerns are felt even at the U.S. Congress, at the House of the Lords and the House of the Commons in the UK, where they summoned the owner of Facebook or the manager of the Facebook in order to explain how he misled the public into Brexit in the recent election in the United States. So everyone knows that the people are misled.
Certainly. I think these issues are worth discussing.
Okay, fair enough.
I think they're worth discussing at a regulatory level. I think they're worth discussing at a democratic kind of setting where people talk about these tools. So you don't believe there's a
democratic setting?
I don't believe that there's a democratic setting in Iran when an elected government that has been elected twice on a platform of liberalizing social media usage gets shut down by a bunch of a little clique of people who are entrenched inside the regime.
Okay, got the point. Let me put a lid on that just for a second to both of you. And it's interesting that more than 40 million people in Iran use Telegram. More than 500,000 people depend on it to actually generate income, which is an interesting thing. And what I've learned, unlike, say, the WhatsApp groups that my auntie creates, on Telegram, there's an unlimited number of people you can actually add to your groups, which I think could be one of the reasons why WhatsApp is not touched, because you can add hundreds of thousands or even millions of people to Telegram groups, right? Let me look at potential solutions here, Borzou Daragahi. What we have is Ayatollah Khamenei coming out with a fatwa. It came out on Twitter, it was on the website and on Twitter, saying invading users' privacy on social media is religiously forbidden, and we're hearing of something called surush. So the Iranians are saying, okay, we don't like Telegram, we feel it's not quite right, we're going to create our own. Why don't you give them a chance?
I think that there should be a surush, and Iranians should have a chance to use that. But they're already ideologizing it. They're creating emojis that have "Death to America" on them. They're creating, they're already branding this new product with the accoutrement of the hardline faction in the regime. And so, I think that Iranians should have a choice. Do they want to use Telegram? Do they want to use Signal? Do they want to use, whatever? Do they want to go on Facebook, which they don't have a choice? It's filtered out. It's blocked out. So I think it's great that the Iranian regime wants to launch its own messaging app. Let them compete head-to-head and see who does better.
Okay, so Mostafa Khoshcheshm, give the Iranian people a choice. Isn't that reasonable?
More than a dozen applications have recently started working. None of them is governmental except for one, and they have all been absorbing people. More and more members they are getting from the Iranian community. It's not just the security. There are economic merits, and there are many other aspects of using various applications. It's very, illogical to say that. Just let me explain this example. If your kid is kidnapped by a person and there has been some kind of private chat between these two, the abductor and also the kid, on the Telegram, if you ask Pavel Durov to provide the chats, he says no, and the servers are not in Iran. So how would you feel in that case if your kid is stolen, kidnapped by a person, and Durov and Telegram could help, but they avoid helping?
I mean, if you get a subpoena,
there are many reasons for shutting down Telegram in Iran.
Of course, there are many reasons.
There are many reasons for shutting down.
I mean, they just want to shut down. They just want to quiet. They just want to silence.
That.
This has been going on for 40 years now. And what it's really about is the Iranian hardliners' fear of any connections between the Iranian people and people abroad in the diaspora and other parts of the world. It's not just about Telegram. It's about Facebook as well. It's about satellite television, which they've also tried to shut down with using various technologies.
Or
that
at
are
least
considered
with
dangerous.
regard to Facebook, apparently Americans share the same feeling. Apparently, Americans share the same feeling with regard to Facebook because they are also worried about that.
And
the
like
UK is also worried about that. People are misled by them. And how come when Twitter is operating in Germany, the deputy leader of one of the ultra-right parties, he says that he doesn't know why the police is so kind to Muslims in his country. And the German government asks Twitter to shut down the page, and they do it. And then he goes on Facebook, releases the same message. The German government asks Facebook to do the same, and they do it. They comply with the rules. But when it comes to Iran, no one complies with the rules because they are using these messaging applications as a means to enforce regime change and to go on with their own dreams in Iran. There are many ways to connect abroad. It's not just Telegram.
Okay.
There are many other ways to send
so let's get a final response from Borzou.
and sounds and information.
Okay, so everybody
Iran
else
has not want to shut them down.
So everybody else is tightening the noose. Why are you picking on Iran, Borzou?
I'm not picking on Iran at all. You know, I was asked to comment on Iran. I'm a journalist. I am, as you are, I'm an advocate for freedom of speech, and I am instinctively opposed to any attempts by governments to shut down on those tools. Now, if democratic societies want to have a debate about regulating certain tools, if there's certain unethical practices that these companies engage in, if they are, for example, hindering an investigation into child abuse, yes, there should be consequences and recourses. But for a government, not just a government, for a clique of people who have been entrenched, who are not elected, haven't been elected ever, to impose on an elected government, the government of President Hassan Rouhani, which has twice been re-elected with majorities, to impose on that government rules which the people clearly are against without any kind of debate, without any kind of public forum, is just wrong.
Okay, I mean, one thing I'll add to this is when I downloaded Telegram, all the Iranians I knew
public debates
were at the
about
top
that.
of the list on Telegram. Not all of them were on WhatsApp, but they all were on Telegram. It shows you Iranians love Telegram. They might not have it for much longer, given the current trends. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Syed Mostafa Khoshcheshm and Borzou Daragahi, I thank you for joining us here on the Newsmakers.